Oscar.
Welcome to the Retro Blood.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood. As we start off a new month here in the month of April, talking about creatures coming to this land that we know as Earth, because we're doing From Outer Space Month, or it came from Outer Space Month, talking 1980s horror movies of slimy creatures landing on this planet, taking over. It's gonna be a wild month. Up first, if y'all like great remakes, if you like great remakes, unlike we get today, if y'all like fun plots, if you like a guy named Flagg who has like a leather jacket and he saves the world by being a rebel, and if you like this blob creature swallowing up a bunch of people, then this is the review for you, brother, because the Retro Blood's talking all about the Blob. Alison, James Kline, what's happening, Alison? How you doing? How you feeling about this Blob?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I've been looking forward to this month for a while. It came from Outer Space Month. Although we got a swerve in this one, didn't we? A little bit.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize.
But the Blob, yeah. So this is going to be strange because of the things that I've talked about liking. But the original version of this movie, I have never liked. I don't know why. I just don't like the original Blob. I love 1950s monster movies. For some reason, the original version of this with Steve McQueen just bores me to death. And this may be one of those rare instances where the remake is better than the original one.
Oh yeah. So I love this movie. This movie was fun. Like, this is a couple things. This is my first time seeing this movie, and I never even seen the remake before. Like, I knew about the Blob, I know what it was. I knew it was an older movie and they redid it in the 80s. But that's all I knew. I didn't really know the plot. I didn't really know, like, when I asked my brother, he was basically like saying, like, oh yeah, you remember that scene in Creepshow 2 where the little lake swallows up the kids? And he says like it's a better version than that. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's like what I knew about coming into the movie. But I like this movie, man. I thought it was super fun. I thought the acting was well. I thought the storyline was well. I thought all the kills were really cool. Like, this movie was fun. Really fun.
Yeah, I would agree. I still feel like it's a little bit slow. Like I felt like by the end of it, I was just like waiting for it to kind of end. But yeah, it's a way better than the original. And I don't know. I can't even explain why I don't like the original. I just don't. I'm just bored to death by it.
Yeah,
for some reason.
Now, may I ask you? I'm probably asking you right now. Yeah. Is there a lot of similarities between the original and this one, or is this one like a complete like redo or makeover?
No, it's very similar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that they wanted to do just like an updated. There's more gore in this. But other than that, I mean, it's real similar to it.
Was there a character who was too shy to buy some condoms at the local store in front of his priest that he blamed it on the starring quarterback? Was that in the 50s version?
No, no, that was added for the 80s version for sure. But the Flagg character, Steve McQueen played a character just like that in the new movie.
Did he have a leather jacket and a motorcycle?
No, he wore like typical 1950s
like a suit?
rebel attire, like James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause, kind of.
There you go. Slick back hair,
like that.
The white shirt, brother.
Yeah. And he drove like a 1950s like sports car.
There you go. It's very similar. We just got to update the actual small little things between there. But yeah, I'm gonna be pretty super excited about this month. It's gonna be pretty fun because we haven't really focused on like a lot of like alien or like creature movies. Even though this one, I guess, kind of was a swerve, in a way. But the idea of something dropping from outer space and taking over the world, we haven't like explored on. Like we did a little bit of that on like the when we did the Twilight Zone last week. But the actual having it, things come from outer space and take over. It's it should be pretty fun month over here. So I'm looking forward to it. And of course, at the end of the show, we will release all the movies we're doing, so you guys can get ahead of that. But like we do every show, let's talk about the history of what was going on in the world of the pro wrestling and the metal music. The reason we do this, we try to create like a more of an experience for everybody. You know what I mean? Not only can you have a meteor crash down into your local town and get it absorbed by a homeless guy who collects cans, but you can also watch some pro wrestling and metal at the same time.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win for everybody. All right. So there's a couple things. So this movie came out on August 9th, 1988. All right. So we have a really fun era of the 1988. So we're a little later on in the 80s. You know what I mean? That means everything's a little bit more flashy during this particular period. But the first thing I want to bring up to you and everybody is I want to talk a little bit about the pro wrestling. I kind of want to do a little bit of a spotlight on a very famous tag team during the 80s period, which is the British Bulldogs. All right. And a couple reasons why I want to bring this up is because a couple weeks back, the A&E actually did a special biography on the British Bulldog, himself. It's very short. The British Bulldogs had such a long career in wrestling, even though he died, kind of young. He died around like 2002. But he actually had a very long history in wrestling because he started wrestling probably around like 14. And he actually during the 80s and in particular, this year too, I mean, the British Bulldogs were on top. They were like, one of the most highly decorated tag team, all right, around this period, even though they would actually leave the WWF around 1988 and join, I believe it was like New Japan, or they would go basically back to Japan. And that's when when they would kind of fall out. That's when the Dynamite Kid was having all his problems with his back, a lot of the pill problems going on. But I just want to talk a little bit about the Bulldogs, a little bit around the 80s period. And, before we get into it, Alison, when do you remember seeing the British Bulldogs for yourself?
That's what I was trying to remember when you mentioned wanting to talk about them.
Yeah. Because I was a late bloomer to them. Because, like I said, like a lot of my, when I was a kid, I think the first time I saw the British Bulldog was probably when he was teaming up with Jim, the Anvil Neidhart in WCW. When they had that really failed run after they left after the screw job. I remember seeing them wrestle there for a little bit. And then I saw the British Bulldog, when he was in the jeans era, and he came back after his bad back injury and everything. But when we do the show here, if you're watching Wrestling Challenge or Saturday Night's Main Event, or a couple of different WWF shows, the British Bulldogs, I mean, they were like one of the teams, in the WWF.
Yeah. So I remember I knew the name. I definitely knew the name. And when I came back to wrestling in 1998, I definitely knew the name. But I may really only have been familiar with them at times by just watching Davey Boy Smith, because I definitely didn't really know who Dynamite Kid was at that time. But did Davey Boy go by the British Bulldog when he was solo in WWF?
Yes.
Okay, so that's probably where I know that name from mostly then.
Yes.
Because I remember, I think I've told this story before on the show, but I saw him in that 6-pack challenge or whatever they called it. For the
I remember
the pay-per-view with the kennel in the cell.
Yeah.
And he was in that. So I saw him live in that in Charlotte. But really, that and I seem to remember maybe a little bit in WCW, but and watching old wrestling, but like I don't really have a huge history with the British Bulldogs. I'm familiar with Davey Boy Smith, and being in WWF, which if he died in 2002, that had to have been like right near the end of his life when I saw him.
Yeah,
that was probably 99 maybe or 2000.
So like when I believe it was like when he was in the WWF and he came back during that that No Mercy thing. I believe that was around 99. So like he got injured. He got injured in WCW with his back on that trapdoor around 1988, and then he was like out on the shelf for a long time. Like they didn't even think he was going to wrestle or anything. But he made a recovery, and he probably maybe came back a little too soon, Mm-hmm. But he was wrestling through that after coming back from severe back pain, and we've seen that recently with Randy Orton. He coming back from a back pain. The problem with the with the British Bulldog, like many '80s wrestlers, is they are addicted to the pills. The prescription pills, so that probably didn't help out his longevity in life, which is super sad because obviously when we were probably the first watching him, as youngsters back in the day, he was kind of like on the tail end of his run, but to see the beginning of his career in the '80s was something else because he started off in Stampede. Wrestling. He started off before Stampede, but he pretty much got a start in Stampede. And pretty much the Dynamite Kid, he was the one that kind of took British Bulldog under his wing. And they actually started feuding with each other. Like they feuded in Stampede Wrestling and they feuded in New Japan for a while until they actually became a team. And when they became a team, that's when they got a little more popular. They actually became the British Bulldogs. And when Vince McMahon was taking over, a lot of the territories, and he was trying to acquire a lot of talent, he personally wanted to have the British Bulldogs come over from Stampede and Japan to work for him, because he only picked out certain people from Stampede Wrestling. It's not like he went in there and raided everybody like he did other territories. I think he worked a little bit more with the Stampede Wrestling about borrowing more talent compared to just taking them all up. So
yeah, I mean he took quite a few of them. I mean he brought Neidhart and he brought Davey Boy and he brought Bret Hart, of course, and Owen.
Yeah.
I mean those are the people I could think of. He didn't really bring all the Hart brothers though very much, did he? He really wanted Bret and Owen. Yeah,
Bret and Owen, like you were saying, Bret and Owen, he got them. And
which, of course, I mean, why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah, and of course, Jim Neidhart as well, too. And I believe, Jim Neidhart and Bret, they kind of came as a package because they were a tag team. And then you got the British Bulldogs were a tag team. So what I'm guessing was, I'm guessing, because McMahon, obviously trying to expand his territories and get better tag teams, he probably noticed that Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart, they probably work really well with the British Bulldogs. So that's probably why he wanted them over there. Plus, they had one little secret, Alison, that the WWF loved during the '80s, and you know what that was?
Steroids.
Well, yes, and they were affiliated with an animal. It was like the zoo back in the day, brother. We had Jake the Snake. All right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We had the British Bulldog. Okay. We had fucking Coco Beware with the fucking bird. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like we had Kamala, which is basically like a jungle creature. All right. So, they're like, oh, wow, we could add on a pit bull. There you go. So.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Like, I wonder how they managed all those animals.
Well, they had the Animals R Us center, Maybe what it was a secret government science experiment that the WWF was trying to do with mixing wrestlers with animals to see if the chakra would come together to create some sort of magic morphic, something they could weaponize to take over the world.
Yeah, which is really why they were called the WWF to start with, because they didn't originally do that to have a feud with the World Wildlife Fund. They were trying to merge with the World Wildlife Fund.
Yeah. See, there you go. We uncovered it. But yeah, I mean, like the British Bulldog, I mean, so this was a very interesting team because a lot of teams nowadays would actually kind of mold after them, because you had Dynamite Kid, the more athletic, fast style wrestler who can do a lot of things a lot of people weren't doing. Like, he's probably like very close to like how like a Will Ospreay is now, where when you watch like a Will Ospreay match, you're seeing things that you don't really see normally. You know what I mean? You're seeing like a lot of innovated spots. And for his time, Dynamite Kid was actually known to be like that. Like, for his time wrestling, he was actually known to be very, unique and different. And of course, you got the British Bulldog, who was like a big, massive powerhouse. So, like a lot of teams were molded after this. You got the very dynamic, shorter guy, but then you got a powerhouse to back you up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that they need to do. I think that WWE is not really good with tag teams right now for some reason, which is ironic considering they used to have a ton of them.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but Dynamite Kid was a little bit larger, I think, than Will Ospreay. I think
I'm just talking about the actual thought process when you watch him, because as a fan watching him, you can see that Dynamite during that era, he was different. Like, he was like, oh wait, I don't see that. I don't see that out of a normal athlete. Just kind of like how you watch a Will Ospreay now. You're like, oh wait, that's new. Yeah, they look completely different. I mean, they
he's more like Pac, I would say.
Oh yeah,
but
Pac would be a good one too for the stature.
But I like the idea of the tag team with the big guy and the little guy.
Yeah.
And they don't do that a lot. WWE now just. Oh, these guys look similar. Put them in a tag team together. Oh, these guys are both black. They're now a tag team. Like, it's just like they just don't like put any thought into like building real tag teams.
Yeah.
Like, they're even doing it. I think it's either SmackDown last week or SmackDown this coming up week. They have like a 3-man or a 3-woman tag against Damage Control, and they pick like the 3 black girls to tag together.
Well, yeah, that's how you do it, man. That's how they put all you got to put all the Hispanics together. You put all the black people together. That's how they do it. But yeah, like it's just they have a lot. During their run with the WWF, they won the tag team belts a couple times. Plus, they had really good matches with the Hart Foundation, the Rougeau brothers, even though they didn't get along. The British Bulldogs and the Rougeau brothers, mostly because of Dynamite Kid. Because he was known as a ripster, So actually, what led them to leave the WF was actually like ribbing. I believe it was Jacques Rougeau, and they actually got into like a fist fight and everything, and they kind of were blaming it a lot on Dynamite. And of course, Dynamite was going through his issues. He had a lot of back issues during this time as well too. Like, there was a couple issues where he could barely even walk. So during that issues, I believe there was another dispute over pay, and that's pretty much why they decided to leave the WWF at that time.
Yeah, I know that they ended up leaving at that time over a dispute with the Rougeau brothers, which I don't know. Like, you know more about the details of that than I do. Like, you just told me more details than I knew about it. But when you think about that, like choosing to keep the Rougeau brothers over the British Bulldogs is just wacky.
Yes, and that is wacky, but you gotta see the circumstance. Like I was saying before, Dynamite Kid's back was like, pretty thrashed during this time, so he needed some time off. So, but it's kind of like, he was doing well if you're causing problems and you can't really, do what you can do. You know what I mean? Kind of have to go. Exactly. So there's just a lot. He was causing a lot of troubles with a lot of people. So, and also too, it wasn't just like the WWF fired them. It was actually like the Dynamite. It's like they quit and they left on their own. So
that's true. Mm.
But yeah, like I'll just recommend everybody checking them out. Check out that A&E documentary on them too. There's a good dark side of the ring too on Dynamite Kid, because he became really crazy after he kind of left the WWF. He became a madman, and the Dark Side of the Ring actually did a really good documentary on him. And the British Bulldog one was pretty good on A&E. I wouldn't say like they kind of like speeded through a lot of things. But if you've never seen like a British Bulldogs matches before. I definitely recommend checking them out. They have a really good WrestleMania, which I believe was WrestleMania 6. I believe. I could be wrong. Where Ozzy Osbourne introduced them, and they came out with their dog and everything. That was a really good moment, and they have just a really good matches between them and the Hart Foundation. And of course, British Bulldog. I actually like his I think it's 93 run. There was a run he did in WCW that he was doing all these wacky like skits and shit. He does like this.
Right.
He did like this wacky skit with like Sid Vicious on the beach. It was like him, Sid Vicious, and Vader on this beach, and they're blowing up sharks and shit. It was crazy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was crazy, man. But yeah, like everybody check him out. Like the British Bulldogs. Like I just wanted to talk about them because I saw like some of that documentary, and it kind of reminded me of all the really good moments that not only the British Bulldogs had, but the British Bulldog himself. And of course, British Bulldog. His crowning moment was at that SummerSlam of '92. Where he fought like Bret Hart in front of Wembley Stadium and stuff. That's kind of like how they see like his crowning moments. But he's had a lot of good matches and, very, very prominent figure in the world of wrestling, especially around this 80s period. But yeah.
Yeah, and his son Davey Boy Smith is wrestling now.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see like they never
he looks like him.
But it's also crazy to think like how much wrestling companies like used British Bulldog. Like they used him, like he was a prominent figure in WCW, in the WWF, like two big companies, and we can't find anything for this guy, this Harry Smith. I mean, he's actually good. Like I remember seeing Harry really Smith in that tag team with Lance Archer, the Killer Death Squad or something, and they were a great tag team. Like, I don't know. It's weird too because remember that there was a period where Harry Smith was like, they WWF brought him back, okay, and then they didn't do shit with them for like a year. Like, imagine being under contract, they don't even do anything for you for like a whole year.
Well, I was about to say, didn't they bring him back like, they brought him back and didn't even use him at all. Yeah. And then he got released during that big release of all his people.
Yeah,
right?
like they didn't even bring him to NXT, like nothing, zero. Freaking weird.
Yeah, I guess they just kept him under contract for a year and then just have never done with him. But yeah, I mean, he's a great wrestler. There's got to be some reason that he's not being used, but I don't know. I think he's amazing in the ring.
Yeah, I think he's really good too. Speaking of amazing, Alison, have you ever heard the band Liege Lord?
Liege Lord, yes. Liege Lord is a what do you call them? They're like a.
I know what they are.
An underground kind of classic band. They're like a cult band, if you will.
They're a variant of Iron Maiden. That's basically what they are.
Well, kinda. I would say they sound like Judas Priest than they do Iron Maiden.
Bro, this guy, he went to the school of Bruce Dickinson singing. Okay, I don't no. I was like, what is going on here? Like, this guy sounds exactly like him. Well, not exactly like him, but he's in that same he's in that same class of sounding like him. Like, have you ever heard this band before? Like, this is my first time listening to them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I actually like this band a lot. Their album, the album that you're going to talk about, Master Control. Yes, that's a masterpiece. That album is so good.
Yeah, it was fun when I was listening to it.
They're like one of those bands that were like they just didn't take off. Like, they put out 3 albums. They were only together like 4 years or something, or 4 or 5 years, something like that. But they put out 3 albums. They're actually together now. They got back together about 10 years ago. And they're playing shows in their middle age.
Nice.
But they're like I think they started out actually as a Judas Priest cover band, and then they started writing originals, but they're like a fairly typical like American power metal band. Yeah. Like Hellstar and some of the bands that we talked about. It's weird that you would bring them up because one of the guitar players, Paul Nelson, who was in Liege Lord at one point, actually passed away a couple of weeks ago. So it's kind of fitting that we would talk about them this week. Paul Nelson, though, became famous more as a blues guitar player. And I tried to look stuff up about him, and there's no mention anywhere on the internet, for the most part, about him ever being in Liege Lord. But he was like a pretty famous blues guitar player. He won a Grammy Award for a blues album, and he had a really good career playing music. But yeah, they were like basically an American power metal band. I think they sound like Judas Priest. You think they sound like Iron Maiden, and I can see how both of those things could be true.
Yeah.
But I mean, like if you like, kind of fast, thrashy metal with like high pitched vocals and lots of guitar solos, Liege Lord's Master Control is a classic. It's so good. But what did you think when you listened to it, and how did you discover this, by the way?
So when I research for the show, I try to find albums or bands or history that happen around the month that we review on. So, obviously this movie came out on August 9th of 1988, and I was looking through a couple August CDs and, on a couple of websites and see what was happening around the world of metal. And when I came around, I like the name, Liege Lord. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I've been watching a lot of like history stuff. You know what I mean? Like Game of Thrones. I know that's not history, but I've been like listening to a lot of that. I've been watching some history and like Liege Lord. That's my Liege Lord. Like that's like it's a very popular saying in that century. So I was like, okay, that sounds cool. And then I was like, okay, their album, the one that we're talking about, Master Control, came out August 1st. So I was like, okay, perfect. We haven't talked about this band. So then I started playing them. And I was like, wait a minute, do I got the rights to? Is this Iron Maiden or what? Is this like a side project I didn't know about? Because to me, they sound like very, very similar. Okay. Now I can see the Judas Priest. See how you could say I can see the Judas Priest stuff too, because Judas Priest, some of their old albums are very similar too. But I thought it was pretty fun. Like the album, I like that power metal stuff. I'm not like the biggest power metal guy, all right, but there is some power metal stuff that I like. Like I could probably finish the whole album, but it'd take me a little bit on power metal. It's just because it's just not my forte, but it's not bad. I like it, and they had some good songs on it. Like I thought the opening song was good, "Fear Itself." "Eye of the Storm" was pretty good. I got all the way up to like "Soldier's Fortunate." So yeah, it's pretty good. I would say but when I was listening to it, like I'm saying, like straight away, I was like, oh man, like, yeah, I could tell they were definitely influenced by Iron Maiden, like a lot, right? Just for me personally.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And honestly, like this is the only Liege Lord album that I really listened to. Yeah. And it has a different singer than their first two albums. That Joey Como is like the singer on this album, and then he went on to play guitar in Overkill in the 90s.
Yeah, Overkill.
But he didn't sing for Overkill, but he played guitar for Overkill in the 90s. I think he played guitar in Annihilator for a little while, like in the 2000s, maybe. Yeah. So this is just like one of those like lost classics. Like it's an album that if you bring it up, like nine times, like it's like one of those things where 9 times out of 10, the person you're talking to has never heard this album. But if they have heard it, then you instantly have something in common with them. It's just one of those cool things that's cool and it's underground and not a lot of people know about it. And it would be less cool if more people knew about it.
Yeah, but I liked it.
But we're telling more people about it though. So.
Yeah, we'll play some at the end of the show. But check it out, everybody. Like I said, if you like that style of music, like that power metal, very like Judas Priest, early Judas Priest, very Iron Maiden style music. Like these guys are good. Like I'm not taking, just because they sound like them, I'm not taking anything away. Like I was very impressed with this guy's vocal range. He can, it was good. I was like, man, like I was surprised. Like they didn't, get a little bit more hit than they did. But it looks like they released their first CD in 1987. So that's probably why. Probably like a little, they're getting, maybe a little bit too late on the train. But, obviously you said they came back. So they're probably getting a bit more fame because, power metal nowadays is like a little, I feel like it's a little bit more respected than it probably was like, back in the day.
I would say so. Yeah, power metal definitely has its own fans, and it's like they're like one of those bands where like they come to your town to play. Like Liege Lord comes to your town to play a show, and you think you're going to be the only person there, and then there's like people waiting in line to get in. You're like, why don't I know these people? Like like I we all listen to this like weird cult band that nobody else has ever heard of, but we don't know each other. It's kind of one of those weird things. But yeah, that Master Control is an incredible album. Everybody should listen to it.
Listen to it, everybody. We'll play a little bit at the end of the show. Give everybody a little taste. Speaking of taste, let's get into who booked this shit, brother, when it comes to the Blob.
Yes. Who booked this shit?
So we have the screenwriter, okay? And so we have the screenwriter and we have the director. So the director who did this was Chuck Russell, all right? And we known him because he did A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Yes.
All right, which is a very fun movie. And when I learned that after I watched the film, I was like, okay, that's why I really like this movie, because I really liked Dream Warriors. I liked the way it was filmed, the storyline, the set, the atmosphere. And him doing this film too, I can notice a little bit of like the parallels between the two, filming style. And I really like this Chuck Russell guy's like filming style. I think he does like a really good job when it comes to like these movies. He also did the Scorpion King with our boy The Rock.
He did with The Rock,
the final boss,
and he directed
brother.
The Mask.
Yeah,
the final boss. Yes,
yeah.
the final boss.
He did The Mask. I mean, all really good movies. So this guy has a collection here. But we also have the screenwriter Frank. All right, Darabont. He helped write this. And what happened? They pretty much met each other. Frank and Chuck did in 1981 while they were working. Check this one out. Okay, they met each other while they were working. Both of them has production assistants on the film Hell Night, which we will be doing soon over here on the Retro Blood, brother. So look out for that one. Hell Night, brother. That's awesome. Like, two like prominent screenwriters and like directors meet on like just a random movie. I love it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then Frank Darabont, of course, has gone on to do a lot of famous things. Like he also helped write Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yeah.
He helped create The Walking Dead, if you will, the TV version. I think he's written a lot of Stephen King adaptations. Like he did, I think he did Shawshank. He did The Green Mile. He did The Mist. Quite a few. So he's a fairly big name in horror movies today, in a way.
Yeah.
So he's kind of come a long ways.
So they were working on A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Warriors together, and then New World Pictures purchased the rights to the remake of The Blob, featuring the original film director Jack A. Harris as an executive producer. And then a year later, the production switched studios to Cinema Group Pictures, because probably a little bit too much money they were using over here.
I guess so.
So a couple things. So actor Dale Close had been scheduled to direct a mock opera about Ronald Reagan at New York's Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts during the filming of The Blob. However, the production was canceled and he was unexpectedly available to audition for The Blob. So that's a little bit how he was on there. So the production began on January 11th, 1988, with the cast and crew of approximately 150 staying at a travel lodge in Abbeville, Louisiana.
Yes.
Due to the large amount of night shooting, the cast often slept during the day, and on their off days, they would watch videos at the hotel and ate crawfish, a popular item of the local cuisine.
Yeah, I mean, that's one good thing about being in Louisiana is eating crawfish. You gotta have them.
You big crawfish there, Alison?
Oh yeah, I love crawfish. Love them. They're like small lobsters.
Yes. So let's see what else we got on here. So
They
go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
There you
No,
go.
you're fine.
Well, I was gonna say, like, there was the original film and this film were pretty similar. But they're saying though the original film didn't have the conspiracy theory. The original film
Right.
just had the alien coming from outer space. This one was a man-made biological weapon. All right, that was pursued by the government. So that's a little bit how they differ. Besides, like some of the characters' nuances here and there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the characters have been updated for the times, but basically it's the same story without the conspiracy theory aspect, without the government intervention in the alien or whatever.
So this actually had a pretty good cast, and I don't think I never knew this, but the girl who played Meg, all right,
Yeah, Shawnee Smith.
like I didn't realize that she was such a big screen queen, because
Oh yeah.
when I was looking at her, I was like, because I never seen this film, and I didn't do I usually like, watch the film and then I do my research about the back history because I don't want to be spoiled if I've never seen it. So I was watching her, I was like, man, this girl's familiar, and I was researching, I was like, oh shit, that's that girl from the Saw movie. And I was like, that's random. So
Yeah, this is like one of her first movies.
yeah, like her, it was it's like literally like I think like her second, because she began an acting film at a very young age at 11. All right, she's playing she was in like this Annie movie, and she was in like this other drama, and then in the 1980s she had a bunch of small roles, but this was her first big role, was the Blob, and I actually thought she did pretty good. And apparently she was in a couple X-Files episodes and stuff, and I was like, okay, I can see that. That's pretty cool. But I was like pretty interested about seeing. I was like looking at it. I was like, oh man, that's crazy. That's the girl from the Saw movies. But yeah, I mean, this was good. Like I really enjoyed like the atmosphere in this movie, and like the actual creation. I thought they did really good on the effects of the actual blob itself, like taking over the host and like melting them basically and turning it into like skeletons and creatures in there. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool too, because in the original movie, it just kind of sticks to the person and just kind of like absorbs them, sort of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was really cool how it melted the people, and like some of the imagery of what it looked like just looks really cool.
Yeah, and
I think they did a really good job with this.
Yeah.
With the way it looks.
Yeah, because it was all done by the special effects were all handled by Tony Gardner. All right, and he's done a lot of stuff in his career, a couple other stuff. I like how later on he would do Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa. There you go.
Yeah, that's got to be the.
Come on, that's a crown moment right there. All right. So Gardner was originally supposed to provide only a few small effects, with special effects artist Leon Conway originally being in charge of the effects. However, after personal changes, he ended up running a crew of 33, including artist Chat Czar and a mechanical effects designer, Bill Sturgeon. All right. For the few minutes of screen time near the end of the film, where Reverend Meeker has a scene which which healed burns, actor Dale Close required 5.5 hours of makeup preparation for fresh burns and 7.5 hours for healed burns. Gotta take your time.
It takes so long to do those special effects. Yeah. But it does have a really good cast, though, like you mentioned. I mean, other than Shawnee Smith being in it, Kevin Dillon is in it in one of his first movies, probably, who would go on to be in Entourage, and he played the guitar player in The Doors. I can't remember his name. But it also has Jack Nance as the doctor, where they go when they bring the old guy in, the homeless guy in.
Yeah.
That Jack Nance, who I most know as being in a lot of David Lynch things. He was Pete in Twin Peaks. He was the guy. He's she's wrapped in plastic. He's that guy. Bill Moseley is in it in a small role. Those are people I can think of off the top of my head that are pretty famous now. Bo Billingsley, who went on to be a voice actor in a lot of American like adaptations of anime and things like that. But yeah, it's got a really cool cast though. It's a really cool cast, great director, great writers. I'd also never seen this before either, so maybe I never watched it because I never liked the original. But yeah, this is something I should have watched a long time ago.
Me too. Like
I was very enjoyable. Had a lot of talent in this.
Yeah, I was very surprised about how I enjoyed it so much. It also had a really good soundtrack too by this band called Alien. They did like some songs in the movie, plus they did that really good closing song. I've been rocking that ever since too. It's a great song. But so this thing's probably a little interesting too. So in 1987, the film rights were acquired by Cinema Group Pictures, like we talked about, for a Memorial Day 1988 release. But before the original distributor went bankrupt, TriStar Pictures acquired the film's distribution rights. So we got a couple. So they bought it and they had to sell that shit because they went bankrupt. So the Blob opened in New York and Los Angeles, California on August 5th, 1988. And it grossed around $8 million at the box office, brother. So, yeah. So, but the problem was
great, it's not great. It cost $10 million to make.
Exactly. So they reported it as disastrous, which is crazy because I actually really like. I can go on a long rant, which we probably don't have time for in this show, about how movie remakes, not a lot of them are good, especially the shit we get like nowadays when they try to remake shit. Yeah. But I actually thought this was a really good. Granted, yes, I didn't see the original, but I thought the actual movie itself was good. Like I didn't need to watch the original film to like this one. You know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of remakes they make nowadays, they just do a bunch of member berries in it. Oh, remember this from the movie you liked before. Oh, remember this from the original movie. Oh, remember this. You know what I mean? Like this one's all like, we're going to have a good cast, good crew. We're going to make it, fun. We're going to update it a little bit. We're going to give it some more glamour to it. And we're going to go. These other ones are just like, oh, remember this. This happened. Remember when movies were cool. Remember that.
Yeah, and like now, like a lot of remakes can't even figure out if they're sequels or remakes.
Oh yeah,
or reboots, or whatever.
Yeah,
like it could be a sequel, it could be a reboot. Like it's just,
or if it sucks, well, that's a different universe.
Yeah, we fucked this up, so this one doesn't count.
Yeah, this one doesn't count. We'll redo it.
Let's do a do-over.
All right, but let's get into it though, because I have a lot to talk about when it comes to this Blob movie. So let's get on.
All right, let's do it.
If it had a mind, you could reason with it. If it had a body, you could shoot it. If it had a heart, you could kill it. Now, man is no longer the supreme being on this planet.
The organism is growing at a geometric rate. By all accounts, it's at least 1,000 times its original mass.
Nobody believes me about what happened tonight.
What did happen?
You were there, you saw.
Plasmic life form that hunts its prey. Predator.
I want that organism alive.
I think you ticked it off.
The Blob. Terror has no shape.
All right, so we start off with some shots of a small town. And I was thinking, you know what? Every time we see these little small towns in these 80s horror movies, I mean, some shit's going to happen. Like, is there a more dangerous place in 1980s horror movies than a small town, a diner?
Nope.
And woods?
No, there's nothing more dangerous in the United States in a small town.
Yeah, I mean, bro,
You're way safer than any big city than you are in any small town.
I'm thinking like, so they're always talking about like people moving to small towns, like, oh yeah, just get away from the world and stuff. I mean, I don't want to be part of the big city. I want to be safe down here in these small towns. No, brother, you get like monsters, you get creatures, you get serial killers, you get fucking mass murders that don't die. All these small towns. Okay.
Yeah, but that's the problem though, right?
Yeah.
You move away from the world, and now you're down here with like all these like weird ass monsters and serial killers and things.
Yeah.
Alien space crashes and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. You're fucked basically. So this small town was fucked too. We see like a football game going on, and we're supposed to be in Aberville, California. This is where
we are.
This is where this being taking place, even though everything was filmed in Louisiana, brother.
Yeah, and Louisiana doesn't look anything like California, but
well, when you go to a small town of California, they all look alike, apparently.
Apparently so.
So we're having this, and actually, so this whole like first half of this movie, I thought was very clever. Okay, because I don't remember really seeing this before in a lot of movies that we've done on this show, where we're supposed to see like this, we're focusing on a character who's not going to be the main character, and I actually really enjoyed like that. I liked it because it shocked me basically. And I'll get to what I'm talking about. So we see number 81, Paul, over here. And he's playing some football. And he's looking up this girl. And the girl is Meg. All right? She's a cheerleader. And of course, like any 80s guy, he has to do a line. It's like, I think she wants my body. Yeah, brother. We got you. So he is nervous about asking her out and stuff. And during this, we have like a bunch of couple cutscenes. So we also made another character named Brian Flagg.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of anybody with the last name Flagg?
Just Randall Flagg from the Stand.
Hey, Flagg. I like the nickname I gave him better. I gave him Leather. Because he wears like a leather jacket.
That's pretty good.
You know what I mean?
And he's got that amazing mullet.
Oh my God! Did you see that thing? That was like a fucking David Hasselhoff mullet. Yeah,
I know. As soon as he showed up, I was like, "Oh, James is in this movie."
Holy shit, bro! This guy, I would have looked just like this guy, just bigger.
You would, yeah.
I would have had the same mullet. I would have been on my motorcycle, falling down for no reason, out there in the woods, hanging out by myself. You know what I mean? Trying to impress some old guy collecting cans. Sounds perfect.
Well, I mean, he's not falling out for no reason. He's trying to make that big jump.
He's a good daredevil. He's a rebel.
He's like, yes, he's a rebel.
So we have a couple of those scenes, and then we see that Paul, he finally asked out Meg after getting tackled. So this part I thought was pretty funny in the film. And I'm bringing this up because I liked how a lot of these stories like connected with each other, which I appreciate in storytelling. So we meet this guy, Kevin. He's part of the football team, right? And he's talking to Paul. And Kevin, he needs to buy some condoms because he knows for a fact he's guaranteed going to score tonight. All right?
Yeah.
So he goes to the counter to buy the condoms from like the... I guess in the 80s, I don't think they do this now unless you go to like a gas station. But apparently back then you had to go up to the clerk or the not like the regular clerk, but the guy who gives out like prescriptions, gives out the drugs and stuff, the drug clerk. And you have to ask for him to bring you the condoms, and you got to tell him exactly what condoms you want.
Well, how do they do it now?
Well, I mean, now isn't that shit just on the shelf?
I don't think so.
Or I think it's behind like a case. So I guess you still got to ask for the
right. So you still have to ask. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they had to do that then because they got stolen then, just like they would get stolen now.
Listen, brother, I am like our boy Flagg. I don't use no condom, but I go to Commando.
I'm sure most people now just buy them online. I have no idea why anybody would go into a drugstore to buy them, but I mean, I'm sure most people just buy them online.
Yeah, live dangerously, boy. All right. So anyway, our Kevin guy, he's like he's so he's asking for these condoms, right? And I don't know what size he gets, but like he he asks for him, and then out of nowhere comes the priest guy, Reverend Meeker. All right, he's here, played by the guy we talked about, that Dale Close guy, the guy that he was supposed to be on something else, but he showed up to this film. So Kevin, he can't buy the condoms he gets all nervous, like, oh, this is for my friend. See that guy over there? That Paul guy? Yeah, he's a sexaholic and shit, so he needs to have these condoms and stuff. He's like gonna destroy this girl or whatever. And he's telling that to the drugstore owner and the priest. Okay? And they all look at him like he's some sort of like deviant. Like, oh, how dare these kids have sex, brother? Alright? How dare back in my day we had to wait till we were 40 to have some sex. So I thought that was funny. And then we see some more scenes of Flagg, because he tried to do that jump, but he fucked up his bike. Right? And the only person that gave him applause was the can guy. So now we're seeing more cutscenes of Flagg going in to meet like his. I don't know if he worked at the shop or something, but it was the shop owner like lend him some parts to fix his bike. And during this time, he's I call him Can because he was collecting cans, and he kept smashing and throwing cans in the trash can. Okay? And that's when we can see the 80s meteor hit the Earth. But I like this one, though, Alison. So let's say you're a rebel without a cause, Alison. Okay? Like you are. You put on a leather jacket here and there. So if you had a motorcycle, would you A, fix it at the your friend's shop that you just got parts from? B, would you find a parking lot with pavement? You know what I mean? Or would you B, go out to a creepy woods with fog?
Oh, I'd definitely go to the creepy woods with fog.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, because we if we're gonna fix motorcycles, we got to at least go to somewhere where it's creepy. Okay,
right.
So he's out there. Nowhere. So he's out there fixing his motorcycle up, and he hears a bunch of noises and stuff, and he sees a bunch of fog around him. And at this time, the homeless guy, he finds the meteor, and he gets the blob on his hand. And of course, the blob is starting to take over his hand now. Okay, so we're starting to spread a little bit. So now we meet Meg's family. What do you think about Meg's family over here? With the kids.
Typical, kind of crazy small town family, I think.
Yeah. So, what was really fun about this one was when they were talking about the movie they were trying to watch, which is basically Friday the 13th. So they're like, oh yeah, we're going to watch this movie. It's about a killer that has a hockey mask on him. And we actually got a lot of references from Friday the 13th on here, which I thought that was pretty fun. Because you could tell how big of a deal, Friday the 13th was. And for everybody out there, check out our full reviews of Friday the 13th. I know actually a lot of new members have actually been listening to Friday the 13th. I hope you all have been enjoying those episodes that we did last year. So check them all out. But that was pretty cool that we got a reference from them on this movie too. But so the kids basically, when they want to go to the movies, and the mom is trying to tell them not to, but of course, like kids in this era, they're like, screw our parents, we're gonna go anyway. So they're gonna go see that movie regardless, even though they're youngsters, because basically it was Eddie's friend, his brother's gonna get him in because he's an usher. So now Meg and Paul, they meet up, and I really like this scene, because it was, Paul gets to the door, and he's about to take Meg out. Paul meets the mom, and right before they're gonna go, Meg's like, okay, well, can you meet my dad? He's like, okay, sure. So they go and meet the dad, and the dad is none other than the fucking drugstore owner that was giving out the condoms to Kevin, and Kevin was blaming the sex addict on this Paul guy, so he's gonna destroy some girl, and then his dad sees him, he's like, fuck it, so he gets all freaked out. So I thought
and Paul still doesn't know that happened.
Yeah, he doesn't know that happened, so he's like, what the hell? So, but they don't show the dad getting freaked out, they just show like the aftermath of it. But I thought that scene was like very clever, so I thought this whole first half was like kind of clever. So we're seeing that, Paul and Meg are driving, and they're talking about like, oh yeah, I don't know, my dad was freaking out about you and stuff, but it's like, oh, and they're making jokes about like, oh, it's not my first awkward moment with a parent, blah blah blah, and they're about to go on a date until they run into the homeless guy with the hand. All right, his hand's getting all affected, and they could see that Flagg was following him too, so they run him over, the homeless guy, and Paul and Flagg know each other, so they're kind of like bickering back and forth with each other, and they think that Flagg was the one like chasing him down, because Flagg, he's known as the rebel around town, brother. Okay.
He's the one you don't mess with. He's the loner.
Yes.
He's a loner, Dottie, a rebel.
Exactly. And also during this time too, we do meet the sheriff of the town as well, Sheriff Herb, and he's talking to the local diner girl. Okay. And he was trying to ask the diner girl out to for a date, but the diner girl, she's too busy working at her diner to go on a date.
Yep, got to make that money.
Like, if you're in a 1980s horror movie, is there anything more important than being the diner owner?
No, that's where the all the information gets shared at the diner.
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime anybody needs to meet to talk about anything, it's always at a diner.
What is this cop expecting, brother? Like, this is
right.
This is an 80s diner, brother. Why are you even trying to ask around? She basically lives there. She has a bed in the back.
Exactly.
All right?
Yeah, she never leaves. It's too important.
So, and then like we saying, like we're showing that this Flagg guy, like he is not liked by the town. And boy, wait till you figure out why. So now they go to the hospital, right? And they're trying to check in the can guy, because they ran him over and shit, and they say they got some acid on his hand. And I like when they're like, hey, we need to check this guy, and the nurse is like, well, does he have Blue Cross? Blue Cross Blue Shield.
He's got to have insurance, but it's weird that they would be asking this obviously homeless person whether he has insurance or not, which obviously he doesn't.
Yeah, so they eventually take him in, and then now Flagg is just like, he's leaving. And they're like, well, you're not going to stay? He's like, no, if they need me, they can find me, brother. I'm a rebel. All right?
Got to go do rebel stuff.
So now, yeah, exactly. I got to go off I haven't finished my bike in the woods yet. It's very important I do that. So now, Paul and Meg, they're like, basically this is their whole date, just waiting to see how the old guy's gonna be, because they ran him over and shit. And they're like, he's like saying, what a date. And eventually Paul's like, hey, do you want a Coke? She's like, yeah. So he goes to the Coke machine, but he sees that the homeless guy he's like moving around weird, and so he goes to check on him. And during this, the doctor's just talking to some random patient, and like he could see that the can guy's like kind of like spazzing out, so he like rushes into where the doctor's doing his little patient, talking to his other patient. And he's screaming, "Doc, over there, this guy's dying." The doctor's like, "Hey, I got another patient here." "No, this fucking guy's dying. You can get over here quick." He's like, "Okay, man." So he goes and checks the body, and the body is now melted. And I thought that shit was cool as shit. I was like, "Oh fuck,
yeah,
it's fucking melted, brother." The blob is melted, so we can see that this blob creature like melts our the victims here. So they start freaking out, and they're not really sure it is, and they're trying to find this person. I like how the patient I don't know if she heard him or something, but the patient that the doctor was talking to just like left. She's like, fuck this. My health problems are not important. There's a guy melting over here. I'm just gonna leave. So now, the only thing I could think of, so Paul goes to try to call the cops, all right, and say this guy somebody. I don't know why they thought this was Flagg. Like, was Flagg supposed to come into like the fucking hospital and use acid on this guy? Like, what did he use his bike acid to melt this guy or something? Like, I'm not. They automatically went to Flagg. you know?
Well, I mean, like, he's the rebel guy, so anybody like him is going to be blamed for anything that goes wrong in town, most likely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is weird that did they think that he caused this somehow?
So Paul goes to call the sheriff. All right. And then while he does, I thought this scene was awesome. You got the blob thing right behind him. That you could see it like climbing up while he's like calling. And then it's on top of him, on top of the roof. And you can see some acid coming down. And eventually the blob comes on him. All right. And then they cut. And then they have Meg trying to figure out where everybody's at. And she comes in and then she can see Paul is now covered in the blob and he's fucking melting with his hand coming out to her and stuff. And like I was saying earlier, I really like this because we were led to believe at the beginning of the film that it looks like the two people that we're going to be studying mostly is going to be Paul and Meg. But they reversed it. They killed Paul off pretty early.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. Like they killed like you were saying, that whole scene looks really cool. And that's one of the artworks they used for the scenes they used for the artworks for the movie, where the blob's like covering his face.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it's like it's just like all over his face, and it's like he can't breathe. But yeah, I thought that was interesting, how they killed Paul off really early. I was not expecting that. I thought there would be more conflict between the preppy football player Paul and the rebel Flagg.
Yeah. So I like it how they were like transitioning more to like the Meg and the Flagg character now. And of course, when Meg tried to go for him, like she like rips his hand off. So this guy's dead as fuck. All right? Yeah. So now all the cops come in here. They all gather. The cops they have Meg go home with their parents. Tom, which is her dad, that's Meg's dad, the doctor guy. He's freaking out. I was like, I knew I shouldn't let my daughter go with this crazy guy. Like he hates all these kids. He thinks all these kids are perverts, basically. Okay.
Yes.
Which I mean, technically they are. All right.
Yeah, so, it's not wrong.
Yeah, it's not wrong. So now we cut to, I thought this scene was pretty funny, that Kevin, he is now trying to fuck this girl in his car. That's the one that was trying to get the condoms from earlier. All right, the girl is just not having it. She's like, oh, look at there's some flashlights going on at the hospital. He makes a joke about it. And then he asks her, do you want my world famous special strawberry drink?
Ugh.
All right. And then he's like, okay. So now he goes back to his trunk, right? And I don't know how this is possible if you have like a moving vehicle, but he had like a whole like setup back there. He had like a little ice thing that has water in it. He has a couple, mixers and stuff, drink mixers. And we can tell that he gave out this like ring. I guess he has like a bunch of like rings that he gives out to his ladies for to charm them or something.
Well, I mean, she was wearing like his school ring or whatever, right?
But he had like a box of them. So he had a box of them. So
that's true. He did have a box of them. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So now he goes back in the car, and now our girl is, and we can see that the blob creature escaped the hospital and now has entered the car. So Kevin comes back in there. He can see that she's passed out. And boy, since we, this reminded me of Creepshow 2. Okay. Oh boy, we got a passed out girl here at 1980s horror movies. You know what's gonna happen. The guy tries to cop a field. Okay.
Always.
Of course. But I thought this one's kind of clever. Like he was like, taking out the blobs and stuff, and right when he went for the teat, what he wasn't supposed to do, the blob took revenge for the girl. All right, and he can see that her face is like halfway melted, and the blob like grabbed his fucking hand and like morphed them together and like blobbed them all out. All right. I thought that scene was pretty crazy. You can see like his legs bending and stuff. Like this movie, I thought like when the kill scenes, I thought they were very well done, and I thought they were very very fun, like just really like intense.
One thing too, and like I was going to bring this up later, but I'll go ahead and mention it now. It has really good special effects in it.
Yeah.
Like the blob special effects are pretty amazing for their time. Like I'm not really sure how they did a lot of them. I'm assuming they were just animated. Like it was just hand drawn animation for a lot of that, because it's not like CGI existed back then for movies.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of it was, and then they used that certain cellulite stuff too for certain effects.
True. Yeah. So
yeah, I thought it was really good too. Like they might have used like a little CGI, but Like I thought they did really well.
Not
with
in
the whole-
1988.
Well, yeah, well, they did a little bit of CGI stuff in the 80s.
I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe, but not like that. Not to where you could create like a character like that.
Yeah. So now so nobody believes Meg or what happened. They all think it's basically just Flagg that killed, killed everybody, killed Paul and killed all of them. All right. And the parents basically want, Meg to sleep, so they try to give her a sleeping pill, and she basically doesn't take it, and now she's left the property because she's gonna go talk to Flagg on her own. So the cops have actually they took Flagg in. All right, so now they're drilling him. We had the sheriff, was this Herb? He's talking to him. Then we had this other deputy, Bill. And Bill's really getting onto Flagg's case. Like, these guys, he really doesn't like Flagg. He's, like, talking all about Flagg's background. They ask where his mother is. He doesn't know where his mother is. And Bill's like, yeah, I bet she's off with some other dude getting rammed somewhere. All right? And I was like, of course we don't know who this guy's dad is. All right? That's probably half his problems. I was like, damn, this Bill guy's being a fucking dick. All right? All right? And so he's just giving a lot of shit. And then... Flagg licks him. You know what I mean? Going back and forth.
Yes.
So eventually Herb's like, we can't keep him here because we don't have any evidence. There's no blood on him, okay? And there's just no evidence to keep him. And of course Bill's like, he's like, not having it. He's like, what the fuck? We gotta let him go. So they have to let him go, basically. So Flagg is leaving now. And Meg comes up to him. She wants to talk to him about what happened. And Flagg's like, nah, I'm not doing this. I got to go. I'm hungry. And I don't want to talk. So he goes into the diner with the diner girl. He gets in there. He gets a free sandwich. And then Meg comes in there anyway because she's persistent. They talk a little bit about drama. About how she never noticed Flagg in high school and stuff. And... He's like doesn't believe her too, so now she's getting very upset, and then he's all like, well, let's just I'll hear your story out. So they eventually start building more character with the two of them. So this scene's pretty crazy. All right, so the diner girl, she notices that the drain needs to be unclogged, right? So I guess it's either the cook or the cook assistant's like, I got it, don't worry about it. So they take a little, they take the plunger, all right, and try to drain out the drain. And then he, sticks his hand in there, and then, bam, the fucking blob just, grabs his hand in his fucking face and just, pulls him down into the fucking drain. I thought this scene was, really well done.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Yeah.
I love this. You could tell that they really put a lot of time in the kill scenes in this.
Yeah, because he went head first in there. I thought it was really well done the way they did it, and they had his head in the drain, but his body trying to smash into it. And then when the diner girl freaks out, Meg and Flagg see it, and they can see that his whole body's being smashed into being sucked into the drain. I was like, damn.
Yeah, I thought the blob was just going to come out of the drain into the kitchen.
Yeah,
but they just pull him down in there.
Yeah, so he pulls him down in there, and then eventually the blob reveals himself. He busts out of the drain. Now he's all red, too. He's extra red to show that he got a bunch of blood in him, which I thought that was a cool touch, too. And now everybody's all freaking out. So the diner girl, she escapes, and then Flagg and Meg, they go into a separate room. All right? And during this... the sheriff Herb, he is kind of worried about the town because he's not sure what's going on over here, because he doesn't really have a suspect. Okay, so he's a little worried about the town. He's worried about that diner girl because he likes her. So he said he's gonna head to the diner. So the diner girl, she goes into the booth, okay, and she's trying to call collect, by the way. Can you call collect in the booth, or is that how you do it?
You have to, if it's long distance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it costs too much.
So she's trying to call the sheriff, all right? And then the lady's like, well, the sheriff already went to the diner. And she's like, what? And you can see the whole blob is fucking covering the booth. And then part of it, you can see the sheriff's dead skull face like come across onto the thing. And I thought that shit was crazy. I was like, oh shit, they killed off the sheriff quick too. Oh.
Yeah, it's definitely not going the way you think it's going to. Well, I mean, obviously they're setting it up to where Flagg and Meg are going to be the heroes of the thing, but they get rid of everybody that could help them out in a way. They get rid of the sheriff, they got rid of the other guy, that kind of thing. So it's just, kind of just Meg and Flagg on their own now.
Yes, and Franny, that was the diner lady's name. But I like saying diner lady. You know what I mean? Like that was her gimmick. Yes. That was her full, full self being. It's the diner lady. So now she gets engulfed by the blob itself through the phone book. So now Meg and Flagg, they're going to be leaving the room now because they got like a little hook that Flagg has, and he's calling out for Franny. They don't hear him, and they eventually need to leave, and he gets a brick to break him out of the front door. And this is when we see the priest over here. He's walking around, and he actually sees the blob itself going into the sewer, and now he thinks it's something from you know how all these priests are. They see one thing that's different, and now everything is like from Revelations and shit. So that's basically what he was doing. Okay,
right.
All right, we've seen it 1,000 times. So it's like, oh, all my book was correct. The blob thing is going to take over mankind. So he actually goes into the diner itself, and he actually takes a little piece of the blob. And this is the first time that we could tell that the cold can affect the blob. It turns it into like a crystal. And he actually collects some of those little crystals in this little jar. So now Megan and Franny, they're trying to get a hold of some people, but they can't get a hold of anybody. So they go to the police station, okay? And they can't. They're trying to talk to the reception girl, but she can't get a hold of anybody either. It's like madness. All right. So they're wandering out in the woods now. Okay. Like this, when they don't really know what to do, they're wandering out in the woods. They see a helicopter pass by, and this is when we finally meet the biological suit people. Are now here. All right. Yeah. So they're kind of like a what do you call it? Like a hazmat suit team, biological team for disasters.
Yeah, they're all wearing hazmat suits. Yeah, like the people in E.T. that are chasing E.T. down. That's what they look like.
Yeah, and so they went to the woods because that was the last known scene where sheriff and the Bill guy were at, but all they saw was the cop car there. So they're there, and then now we meet the main doctor, I guess.
The top scientist guy.
The top scientist, Moss, and he is the head of the science brigade. And he's like, oh, okay, we're trying to evacuate this area. Please come with us. And we've already briefed the Bill on it. Of course, when Bill sees Flagg, they start going off on each other. Bill's already been prepped. He said like they're going to be taking control of the whole situation now. All right. So a big thing is they want Flagg and Meg to get into the van. And they're like, okay, what we got to do is got to quarantine this whole town, okay? Mm-hmm. And we'll take you to your parents. We got to quarantine in there. And, Flagg is like, he's like kind of suspicious about this. Like, I don't really want to go. And they basically kind of force them to go into the van and be quarantined. So the van is driving, and Flagg's like trying to escape. And Meg's like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't have a problem with the, leadership. People, all right, and he gets out. He's gonna escape. Like, hey, you come with me? He's like, no, I don't. I'm gonna go see my family. I just want this stuff to end. He's like, well, I'm getting out of here. It's like, that's just like you. You know what I mean? You just want to do stuff on your own. And he's all like, sorry, and he just jumps out, and he gets away. So we see Meg coming in, and now they're trying to quarantine everybody. And during this, we have learned that Eddie and his friend eventually went to that movie, which is a movie is basically Friday the 13th. I'm thinking it's Friday. This one looked more like Friday the 13th, part like 4 and stuff, because Jason already has his mask. But there's a scene in it where like there's like a couple sitting there, and like, why is that guy doing some head trimming at nighttime? It's like, maybe it's some sort of peeping Tom. I don't know. Let's give him something to peep at. And then the guy gets on there. He has a hockey mask and he has like this little hedge clipper. that was a funny part of that movie.
Yeah.
And then when the kids are watching it, they have the annoying guy in the background telling everybody what's happening.
Yeah, everybody hates that guy. Don't be that guy when you go see movies.
Yeah, don't be that fucking guy.
Don't be the guy that's basically saying this horror movies are bullshit because I'm going to predict everything that's going to happen. Just shut the fuck up, watch the movie, and don't get your ass kicked.
Yeah, and then during this, we meet the projection guy, and he's noticing it's very hot up there. And the guy's like, "Well, I got the full AC on over here," and so he looks down the little air vent, and he gets attacked by the blob. And then the other usher comes in there, or the manager, one of the two, comes in there, looks up, and you can see that he's being melted to the blob to the ceiling, and then he attacks him. All right? And then during this, Meg and her family realize that Eddie is missing, so Meg takes it upon herself only to go find him at the theater because the hazmat suit quarantine biological scientist guys will not go to that area yet because they got to do one section at a time, brother. We don't have the resources to do multiple sections. Okay?
Nope.
You don't know how
that
this
many
works.
people. You have to do them one at a time.
Come on now. So she gets to the theater right on time, I would say. Has the blob. I do like it where the guy, like, because they were showing the scene within the movie of the camp counselors talking about the legend of the just like in Friday the 13th. And during this, the guy's like, "Hey, he's coming through you," and then the blob actually like kidnaps the guy and like drags him up, and that's when the kids notice it. And the two kids were the ones that noticed the blob on the second, and then now everybody kind of notices the blob, and it's growing a lot quicker throughout the movie theater. And I actually thought this scene was really clever and very well done as well. It's a scene where you see like Meg like go all the way through the movie theater into the actual, like she goes into the movie theater and actually into the theater room, and when she gets in there she could see the blob, the big blob, and just like the whole lighting effects and the whole like effects of it, I thought they were really well done. And then she helps get the kids out of there.
Yeah.
So during all this, Alison, did you know our boy Flagg, he is good about sneaking around? And,
he's definitely good at that.
And he overhears Moss and the Sergeant Hargis talking about the actual blob-style creature. So they just call it like an organism, I believe. And he's basically, what they're doing there is they are trying to, so let me see if I got this right. Okay. I didn't catch this when I listened to it, even though I said it at the end. I guess they were saying like this is some sort of like bioweapon that got created.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell if it was supposed to land there or it wasn't supposed to land at this small town. Because all I could hear was them talking about they wanted to capture the weapon and they wanted to, use it for U.S. military for a weapon, for a bioweapon.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit confused on that too. So I can't figure out. I couldn't actually. So it is an alien.
Okay.
I think it is an alien, but I think that. Well, I don't know, because sometimes they kind of imply that it was created in a lab.
Yeah.
Sometimes they kind of imply that they're trying to capture it, which they could just mean they're trying to recapture it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if it was. I don't think it was supposed to land in the small town though.
Okay. Because some of it, they said like, "Oh, this is supposed to be your military test that went wrong and stuff." I was like, "Well, okay." So, but yeah, basically what they're trying to do is Moss and his crew are trying to capture the whole blob organism itself, turn it into a bioweapon to use on, other countries if need be. And they don't care about any of the civilians if it attacks or kills any of them. Their priority is just to capture this thing at any cost necessary. And of course, Flagg hears this. He's like, oh, fuck this. And then he gets caught by one of them, and he fights his way out, and he leaves. And they go follow him. So, and then their plan too is to take the blob, and they want to capture it in the sewer, basically. Okay, so they want to keep it all sealed up in the sewer, and that's how they plan to capture it. So during this, Meg and the kids, they get away from the blob, and their idea of getting away from it is to go to the sewer. Okay, so it works, but they're being a little fucked. So now Eddie, when he gets away, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, it does get them away from it, but I don't know if that's the best choice.
Well, it's the only choice they had at the time. So
that's true.
So now they're in the sewer. They're trying to get away. Moss and all them plan to get all their goons out there to go to the sewer and block off the entrance, because they have like three entrances to the sewer, and they're gonna block off all three of them. So he sends his guys out there, and of course Eddie knows this too. So he gets to one of the entrances before they do, because he escapes from everybody on his motorcycle. You know how he does it, Alison? You know how he escapes everybody from this
by making the jump that he couldn't make in the beginning of the movie.
Exactly. So just keep trying, guys. See, you just need some proper motivation. You need a chemical,
like machine guns.
Yeah, machine guns, a bio weapon agency coming after your ass. You'll make that jump, I guarantee you. So now Megan and all them are trying to go and escape. They're in the sewer. They go to like a deeper part of the sewer, and they see like a little ladder thing, so they want to climb up there. And they see a rat, but then they don't see the rat. So like, oh shit. So now the blob thing has followed them in the sewer. It actually got into the sewer now. And it starts like growing up. And I didn't see this part coming either. I thought this part was pretty crazy. So the kids are trying to get up there. And it was Meg and Eddie. And then the friend is the one who got caught by the actual blob. So Meg tries to go rescue him, but he can't. And she gets up, and then we can see the kid like pop up, and he's already like melting, and he's a skeleton. He's trying to reach out for her, and I was like, "Oh shit, we're even doing kids in this movie." I was like, "Damn." All right, so she gets Eddie to go up there, and he can fit through the little hole, but she can't. And then during this, the hazmat suit guys come in. They try to shoot the thing, but it doesn't work. And then the blob ends up killing there's like three of them. They kills about two of them, the hazmat suit guys. And that was a distraction for Meg. So now Meg can get out of there. And now she goes up to like a different part of the sewer. And then Flagg shows up and he helps her get out of the fucking sewer. So yeah, I didn't really see that kid part coming. I was like, damn, that's just crazy. They got that little kid. So now they're running through the sewer, and they meet one of the hazmat guys, and he's freaking out. Okay, and they found top of the sewer to come through, okay, for land. And when they open it up, they see Moss and the sergeant guy, and Moss is like, close it, make sure it's sealed up tight, because remember, he doesn't care about anybody surviving. They could have easily got them out of there, but he's like, no, keep them down there. Even his own men, he keeps down there, brother. Okay.
Yeah, he gets that one guy trapped down there. One thing that about this scene I thought was interesting. I was going to ask what you thought about this. So the hazmat suits have lights.
Yeah.
Inside the helmet parts. So what is the reason that they would have lights? So I understand why they would have them for the movie, because you could see the actors' faces. But like if you had a light inside a helmet, you wouldn't be able to see anything outside the helmet because it would blind you. Like why?
Well,
why
so what they're thinking was, you got to keep the face warm.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? Because the blob gets your face. You know what I mean? At least it has to be warm.
Right.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's written.
Exactly.
It was written to their contract. All right.
Right.
Give me some screen time here, brother. All right, come on now. That was a good motion, though. I just assumed we just so we could see their face.
It is. Well, it is in the from movie aspect. So
yeah.
so the cameras can pick up their faces. But
how can we tell goon from goon number 3? That's how.
exactly. Like every single movie that has a hazmat suit has a light on the inside of the helmet for some reason. But it can only be so that the camera can pick up their face.
So I think I got a real question for you, Alison. So this guy had a rocket launcher on the whole time. How come he didn't use that against the fucking blob? All right. All right. So Flagg sees it.
Right. Like Flagg just sees it, and he's like,
"Does this shit work?"
It's like why didn't we just use this the whole time we've been running from this alien?
Well, I mean, the reason is because Moss said to keep the thing alive. All right, but it is funny. We're like fuck it, bro. I don't give a fuck. You want this shit alive? He ain't gonna kill me. I'm gonna use my fucking rocket launcher on him. You know,
to shoot the and when we end up using it to shoot the manhole cover off with the truck over top.
Yeah, exactly. So we shoot the manhole. The whole thing blows up, and everybody gets out. All right, and then we have a standoff between Flagg and the whole crew plus Bill, and Bill just thinks Flagg's just being how Flagg is, a rebel. And then Flagg's like, no, like these guys are not even from the real government. They're just some sort of biological agency, and they're just come here to create this blob for a bioweapon, and they don't care if any of us lives or dies. So now they're like,
it is kind of weird that this deputy sheriff doesn't like think for a second that maybe something's weird's going on here.
Nah, bro.
But instead of him just assuming that Flagg's just being Flagg, even though he's pointing a machine gun at two guys. Wow. Like, that's just his everyday normal behavior.
Well, he didn't even bring up about sheriff or anything. He was just like, fuck that guy.
Or the big truck explosion that just happened, or any of this weird shit that's going on.
Yeah. He's just a small town cop, brother. All right?
Yep.
This ain't part of his normal routine. So they have all the guns on each other, and then the blob thing shows up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and it actually attacks Moss, and he gets him. He gets Moss. All right, and first he gets out of the container, and they all start running from it, the big blob creature.
Yeah,
and they start shooting it. This is when we see the priest. He gets his face on fire a little bit from some of the explosions that are handing down. And then the whole town is pretty much moving towards, I believe it's like the big library, to kind of trap themselves in there, away from the blob. Oh yeah, I did like the one scene of Flagg and Meg when they were in the sewer trying to get away from the blob, where he used his motorcycle to escape the blob creature. That part was pretty neat. But Flagg is now, like I said, they're running from the thing. They're trying to board up the town to try to get this creature around there. And the blob has already killed the Moss. So Moss has been killed and melted by the whole creature he's studied his whole life on, apparently. And they even try to blow the creature up, but none of it works, basically. So now, when they were running from it, Meg used like a fire extinguisher, and she notices that the cold can attack it. All right, so they're all like using fire extinguishers to kind of board up the town and keep it away. And then during this, Flagg, he goes into his shop friend's owner, and he pulls out a snowmaker machine that they just have randomly sitting around.
Yeah, it's kind of convenient, right?
Yes.
They just have that.
So he comes in there, he uses the snow plow machine on the blob, and then his great idea was to run right into the thing. All right? And he flips over. The blob is like, part of it's cold and stuff, and then part of it's trying to get to him. Meg comes out. She sees all this stuff. She randomly turns into Sara Connor. All right? We haven't seen her use any kind of gun or being any brave at all, but she just grabs a gun and starts taunting the blob creature to come onto the snowmaker ice machine port. Did I got that right? What is that?
Yes.
Thing? The Freon machine. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So she's getting it to go away from Flagg, who is like upside down in the truck, to go onto the Freon machine. And she's shooting and everything. She knows how to use a machine gun just fine. She didn't need any training. All right, and
Nope,
she's
not at
about to. She leaves a bomb that she found too on there because she turned into Sarah Connor, and she is about to escape, but she gets her leg caught on the rope. So we have some suspension, and then of course Flagg grabs her. The blob machine goes onto the Freon thing, and it blows up, and it turns the blob into some crystals that you would see at the local market. And then there it goes, the machine thing. All right.
And then we've saved the day.
And then they all save the day. The machine, the shop owner who just had his super expensive snowmaker machine blow up, he's like, "Hey, I told you, Flagg, it would snow around this town. You just got to believe."
Nice.
So they all hug and kiss.
Not only did we get to save the day from the giant blob monster, that we also got a good snowfall.
Yeah, got everything, man. Fun stuff. So now we cut to somewhere out there in like some hot, like a little small like tent, and the preacher from earlier, Meeker, he is doing a little ceremony about how they do it, the whole end of the world's ending, doomsday, all this shit. He goes back into his tent. This lady comes up. "Hey, can you tell me more about this doomsday stuff? When is it gonna happen? I'm ready."
Yeah.
She's ready, bro. She is ready for this doomsday. She was just like, she was such a nice, sweet old lady. She was just like, just tell me what's going to happen. Okay, I want to have a front row seat.
Doomsday. Yeah, I'm
and
ready.
then we could see that our burnt up Miko guy now holds the blob. That's his salvation. That's his damnation to the world. He holds it in a jar. And we're ready for a sequel that we never get.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's primed for a sequel, but we would never get it.
Now, I assume they probably did some comic books, maybe. But we never get seen. And then we cut to a fantastic song by Alien. All right? Taking us out with Brave New Love. Brave New Love. Dun, 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 Brave New Love. Now, is the Brave New Love, Alison, is that supposed to be that Flagg and Meg, they're going to be hooking up now? Is that the Brave New Love? Okay.
Of course.
So
yeah, because now he's like the guy she never knew existed.
Yeah.
Now she's all interested.
Yeah, now he's the town hero now.
Yeah.
All right. For saving the day and turning the blob into some ice crystals. All right.
I wonder how they cleaned all that up.
Well, I hope they didn't. Where do you expose that? Like, do you just go out to your local trash compactor or something? Like, where do you? Because you can't unmelt it. Because we've seen that before. Like, if you unmelt it, it'll just turn back to the blob. So
yeah,
I'm
assuming that they keep it frozen somehow.
Yeah, they probably had to keep it frozen. Maybe the real government came in and kept it frozen, or something. But yeah, these are questions we don't get answered because we don't have a sequel.
Exactly.
So. But yeah, like I said, like this movie was actually pretty fun. Like I'm actually surprised I never seen it before, but I really enjoyed it. I like the acting, I like the killing, I like the characters, I like the soundtrack. I thought that this one was a very fun movie. What do you think, Alison? Same over here?
Yeah, I liked it too. Like I said, I've never really cared for the original version of this, and I did feel like this movie drags a little bit. But yeah, this is a good film. I mean, it's a good remake. It's a better the remake's better than the original one. It looks really cool. It's really cool to see early Frank Darabont writing. And it's kind of like a follow-up movie to Nightmare on Elm Street 3 when these guys got started together. Yeah. But yeah, I love this movie. I thought it was great. Yeah. Really, really good.
Definitely fun, man. We're starting this month off hot. The month of April, brother. It came from outer space. We got some stuff coming. We got some good shit coming. That's for sure. But everybody, join us here next week on The Retro Blood, where we continue this It Came from Outer Space month with The Deadly Spawn.
Yeah, from 1983.
1983, brother. Should be a pretty wild one. I saw that preview that you sent me. I was like, oh, it's gonna be a little different. Should be.
Yeah, you gotta the people got to get ready for this one. I recommend watching this movie in advance. It's on Shudder, I believe.
Shudder, yes. And of course, we're gonna round out the month with Time Walker. All right.
Time Walker, absolutely.
And a one I've been waiting to see for a long time, The Stuff.
Yeah, I've been talking about wanting to do this stuff on this show since we started it. So
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that one.
This is gonna be exciting. You ever seen the stuff before?
No, I haven't seen any of these films, so it's all gonna be new to me.
Yeah, these all of these movies were staples of my childhood VHS movie renting. I remember renting all 4 of these movies. Well, I didn't rent the Blob, but I remember the Blob being for rent, but I never rented it. But I remember all the other 3 movies I remember renting on the VHS.
Well, nice. This is your month, Alison. This is the month.
It is my month
of the Alison right here, brother. So, but like I said, everybody, come join us here next week, The Deadly Spawn. But let's get on out of here talking some Liege Lord.
Liege Lord.
It's a fucking great name for a band. Liege Lord.
Heck yeah, it is.
What should we do? Kill the King?
That's what I was going to suggest.
There you go, brother. Kill the King. Because, like, King was the Blob over here. And they kind of killed it. Like, hopefully they, maybe this movie and Return of the Living Dead are in the same universe. Where we're going to have the same soldiers keep the Blob in that cryo freeze thing.
Maybe.
Until some 80s idiot teen opens it up because he's trying to get some booty. And the Blob will come back. There you go. There's your sequel right there.
There you go. That's our sequel.
So, but join us here next week, everybody, for the Retro Blood. J. Alison, James Kline. We'll see y'all later.
See you guys.